Right, check 1 2, check 1 2. Does my mic sound nice? Check 1. Does my mic sound nice? Check 2. And yes, indeed, we are. The mic sounds nice. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. I want to welcome all my live viewers, and I want to welcome all my replay viewers. What's good? What's good? Right now, if you want to check me out on live stream, I'm on live right now. Go to the channel called Thoughts of the Week podcast on YouTube. We also available on. We're live also on Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter as well. All right. So what's good? What's good? Let me show my face real quick. All right. And I gotta put my face closer. The sun is in a different direction, so you might not be able to see me all the way. But what's going on, everybody? Appreciate y'all. Doing my first Twitter Spaces using Thoughts of the Week podcast on Twitter X. All right, so for some of you guys on Twitter, you can check me out right now. I'm live there as well. And I'm not going to be on here too long. There is a convention coming up in Atlanta, Georgia. And I decided to look at their registration page, and I found some things kind of interesting. All right, and I just thought I'd kind of bring that out a little bit. All right. And so let me pull that up real fast. Just real quick. There we go. We got the National Reparations Convention 2023, October 7th, which is a Saturday, and October 8th, which is a Sunday. Some people will be going on both days. Some people will be going on one or the other day. All right. But what I wanted to show, and matter of fact, if you guys watching it on live stream right now, you can see on the screen where it's showing it's 8 days left, 18 hours, 44 minutes, and 26 seconds. All right. For those who want to get online and register. I think it's a little more expensive if you go to the door, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, or it might be the same price. We might be able to check that out here in a minute. All right. But I just found some things interesting when I looked it over that I thought I'll share with some folks. All right. And you can, as you listening in, you can decide on what's what. All right. You can decide on what's what. So let me hold on. Give me a sec here. All right. So before we get started, you know what it is. This is Thoughts of the Week podcast. Let's get it.
Do you support reparations for Black people?
Well, listen, again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination, segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, Black people have not. And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the LIFT Act. Give people who are making $100,000 or less as a family a tax credit, which will benefit and uplift 60% of Black families who are in poverty.
So by default, it affects Black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you would explore.
But no, if you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit black children, black families, black homeowners, because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities, and we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this: any policy that will benefit black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No, because whatever benefits that black family will benefit that community and society as a whole and the country. Right?
You're rocking with the best Thoughts of the Week podcast. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. You rocking with the best Thoughts of the Week podcast. All right. That was my little intro. Every now and then I play a video for those who are listening to me on Twitter. I'm live on Twitter Spaces right now for those who are watching me live. All right. Let me just get this thing set up real quick. My first time doing a Twitter Space. I don't know if I'm going to take any speakers this time around. You just want to listen in, feel free. Like I said, I'm going to try not to be too long today. I might be doing another Twitter Space again one more time down the road pretty soon. And so, maybe I'll take a speaker then. I don't know yet. Like I said, this first time doing Twitter Spaces live, as well as being on live stream on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. All at the same time. We're doing this all at the same time, getting our grind at the same time. And so, so here we go. We're talking about National Reparations Convention. I'm just going to go through some things here for you ladies and gents. All right. We'll put that on the full screen. Before we get into that, the question for this episode or this podcast is, are you going to the National Reparations Convention in Atlanta, Georgia? Again, that's on October the 7th and October the 8th. All right. I think they start at 11 o'clock on both days. 11 o'clock starts the registration. And then they kind of go from there. I think 12 o'clock will start the speakers and keynote speakers, so on and so forth. All right. So, that's what's going on. And so while we as that is being said, let's go into this their registration page. All right. Before we get into the things that I was looking at, I'm gonna kind of go past that for a second and kind of look at some other things here, just to get y'all guys familiarized with it real quick. All right. So again, it's Saturday, October 7th, 11 o'clock, and October the 8th is Sunday at 11 o'clock. So it's supposed to be Saturday, supposed to be 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Sunday, it's supposed to be 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. All right. And so real quick, here are the keynote speakers. You got what looks to be Silas Muhammad, CEO, Malik Shabazz, civil rights attorney. You have Justin Hansford, who was a law professor, and you have Professor James Smalls. A lot of y'all might be familiar with Professor James Smalls and Malik Shabazz. All right. You might be familiar with those two. And let me read a little bit about, because it's got a little brief about them. So Silas Muhammad is the Chief Executive Officer, CEO of the Lost Found Nation of Islam. Mr. Muhammad nurtures spiritual life within the Afro descendant, which I have, if you really want to get started into it, there's an issue with those wording, but we'll get into that. but he's the nurturer or nurture spiritual life within the Afro descendant people. Pay attention to the wordplay, y'all. We're already getting started. So Malik Shabazz is a national civil rights plaintiff, trial attorney at Black Lawyers for Justice, Washington, D.C. Justin Hunsford, law professor, executive director of the Thurgood Marshall Civil Rights Center, law professor at Howard University. Then you have Professor Jane Smalls, scholar activist, CEO of Sanaa Lodge Enterprise Ghana Limited. I guess that's limited liability. CEO and president of African American Management Company Ghana Limited. All right. So those are the main four, for what I'm seeing on the website, the keynote speakers. So then they have speakers slash panelists, and there's a bunch of them. I'm going to read all their names real quick. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think 18 in total. Ooh, I just scrolled down and seen a name that, very interesting. It's going to be interesting. All right. So we have Harriet as the speakers slash panelist, Harriet Abu Bakar. I think that's how you pronounce it. Then you have this is a lady, Dr. Harriet Abu Bakr or Abu Bakar. That's the first black lady. Then we have another black lady who is Dr. Akila Mukarram. All right. I think hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Then you have a few fellas here. We have Com Howard, Eric Phillips, Willard Lett, and Marcus Coleman. And then on the next row, a few more fellas and ladies mixed in. We have Reginald Muhammad. We have Najee Muhammad. We have Prince Yosef Ben Asiel. We have Anita Bell, Kenise Henry, Yvette Carnell. And then the next row, the last row, we have Dr. Cheryl Grills. We have Dr. Akinyele Umoja. And we have Dr. Raymond Winbush. And we have Natsu Taylor Saito. Then we have a gentleman by the name of Sidney Bartley. And then lastly, a gentleman by the name of Osiris Akebela. I think that's how you pronounce it, all right? And then they kind of give a breakdown of what's going to be happening from day to day. All right. You have at 11 a.m. they have the registration, Student Center East Auditorium lobby. Student admission is free with student ID. General admission tickets is $20 for each day. All right. And then you have the weekend rate for both days is $35. All right. Then at 12 p.m., that was the registration at 11 a.m., 12 p.m., you have welcome keynote address speaker panel, Student Center East Speakers Auditorium. Then at 4 o'clock, from 12 to 4, you have that, the welcome, the keynote address, the speaker panel. And then at 4 o'clock is take a break. All right. They got the GSU, the Georgia State University Cafe and Eateries, the Courtyard Student Center East, first floor Panda Express, Courtyard Cafe, first floor bookstore building, Chick-fil-A. I guess that's all inside the building, I'm assuming. Then you have at 5 o'clock working group sessions. You have the Student Center East. I guess this is all happening at the Student Center East. Student Center East upper floor classrooms 216, 217, and 218. That's the working group sessions. Interesting. Then at 7:30, you have the town hall, which is the Student Center East Speakers Auditorium. All right. So that's that's on Saturday. Okay. Then on Sunday, again at 11 a.m., they're having a registration again. So no need to go too deep into that. And then at 12 o'clock, again, they have the welcoming and the keynote address and speaker panel. And then at 3 o'clock, they take their break. Instead of Saturday's 4 o'clock, they have taking a break at 3 o'clock. So there's going to be a lot of speakers between 12 p.m. and 3 p.m. on Sunday and 12 p.m. and 4 p.m. on Saturday. All right. And again, they talk about the eateries, same thing when you take a break. Then they have a closing at 4 p.m. on Sunday, closing address, call to action. And again, that's the Student Center East Speakers Auditorium. All right. So hopefully, when some of y'all guys come and listen to this, the replay on Twitter Spaces or watch this replay on live, you're seeing me scroll down on the screen there so you guys can see what's going on with that. All right. Let me see the conference location, Student Center, East Speakers Auditorium, 55 Gilmer Street, Atlanta, GA. Then I guess it's giving you directions from the north, or you from the south, or you from the east, or you from the west. All right. It's giving you directions there. And so that's pretty much it. So what I'm going to do now is scroll up to the top because I got to reading some things and I was like, very interesting. And for those who's watching me, I'm on the very top page, just under the where it's doing the time, the countdown to the event. All right. And here's where I had some issues. All right. Here's where I had some issues. All right. Again, you guys, for whoever's watching me, what's up? I see y'all out there. You might not be able to see my face. I'm positioned where the sun, the angle of the sun is not lighting up this part of this side of where I'm sitting at on the camera. So I probably have to put my face close. Otherwise, you won't be able to see me. But anyway, let's get back to this. All right. We are Afro descendants. Are you? That's what it's asking. All right. We are Afro descendants. Now, let me put that up wide real quick. Let me move this out the way. Well, I'll leave that on. Let's leave that on. All right. Here's kind of the issue I have, especially when you start getting to reading down the line there. All right. So I know when it comes to Black Americans, everybody's kind of grouping themselves with different names, but for the most part with the same code, same agenda regarding reparations, being that we're talking about the National Reparations Convention coming up. But every now and then you got other people that throw in other words, other language, and I think it's sometimes to throw people off. Okay. And before I get into that, there was something I wanted to pull up on the screen, which I'm going to do right now. All right. Because I think it was important to talk about this real quick. I think it's an important piece to add. All right. Before we get into the National Reparations website, I want to kind of read some things to y'all. Something for y'all to contemplate on, to marinate on, if you will. Probably that's the best word I could say, to marinate on this. All right. There is a book called War at Home. All right. There's a book called War at Home. And I think this is written by Brian Glick, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Brian Glick is a book called War at Home. And I guess he's an attorney. So according to Brian Glick, in his book, War at Home, the FBI used 5 main methods during COINTELPRO. All right. So I'm going to read this down the list because I think it's kind of important to go along with what I'm going to be breaking down on this website, the registration site. All right. So 5 main methods during COINTELPRO. Infiltration. Right. Agents and informers did not merely spy on political activists. Their main purpose was to discredit, disrupt, and negatively redirect action. All right. I'm not going to repeat that. You just got to play that over if you want to hear that. But I think it's very important. Their very presence served to undermine trust and scare off potential supporters. All right. The FBI and police exploited this fear to smear genuine activists as agents. All right. You got that? To smear genuine people who are genuine activists, they try to use the tactic of infiltration to smear them instead of being the activists that they are for real. They're smearing them as agents. That was one of the tactics. All right. One of the 5 methods during COINTELPRO. Number 2, psychological warfare. The FBI and police used myriad dirty tricks to undermine movements. They planted false media stories and published bogus leaflets and other publications in the name of targeted groups. They forged correspondence, sent anonymous letters, and made anonymous telephone calls. They spread misinformation about meetings and events. All right. Set up pseudo movement groups run by government agents and manipulated or strong armed parents, employers, landlords, school officials, and others to cause trouble for activists. I'm going to read that part again. They spread misinformation about meetings and events. They set up pseudo movement groups run by government agents and manipulated or strong armed parents, employers, landlords, school officials, and others to cause trouble for activists. All right. They used bad jacketing to, y'all look up that word, bad, BAD, jacketing, like your jacket, and just add ing to it. Bad jacketing to create suspicion about targeted activists, sometimes with lethal consequences. All right. That was number 2. We already went over infiltration and then psychological warfare. I just read. Now we go into number 3. Harassment via the legal system. All right. Harassment via the legal system. The FBI and police abused the legal system to harass dissidents and make them appear to be criminals. Officers of the law gave perjured testimony and presented fabricated evidence as a pretext for false arrest and wrongful imprisonment. They discriminatorily enforced tax laws and other government regulations and used conspicuous surveillance, investigative interviews, and grand jury subpoenas in an effort to intimidate activists and silence their supporters. All right. That's number 3. Number 4, illegal force. The FBI conspired with local police departments to threaten dissidents to conduct illegal break-ins in order to search dissident homes and to commit vandalism, assaults, beatings, assassinations. The objective was to frighten or eliminate dissidents and disrupt their movements. All right. So that's number 4, illegal force. And finally, number 5. All right, number 5. Undermine public opinion. All right. Undermine public opinion. One of the primary ways the FBI targeted organizations was by challenging their reputations in the community and denying them a platform to gain legitimacy. Hoover specifically designed programs to block leaders from, quote, spreading their philosophy publicly or through the communications media. All right. Furthermore, the organization created and controlled negative media meant to undermine Black Power organizations. For instance, they oversaw the creation of documentaries skillfully edited to paint the Black Panther Party as aggressive, and false newspapers that spread misinformation about party members. The ability of the FBI to create distrust within and between revolutionary organizations tainted their public image and weakened chances at unity and public support. All right. I read that on purpose and for the purposes of what I'm getting ready to get into now. And also just as a for your information type thing, so that you'll know when you see these things going on Twitter, you can kind of refer back to this. All right. So if you want to um, get those 5 things, I'll go over the 5 things real quick, not read them in detail. But number one, this is the 5 main methods during COINTELPRO that the FBI used. It was infiltration, psychological warfare, harassment via the legal system, illegal force, and undermine public opinion. All right. I'm just saying those things to get into what we're going to get into. Like I said, it's not going to be too long. And also, just so you guys know the tactics, because me personally, I believe those tactics are going on right now. All right. They're going on right now on Twitter. Okay. At least some of them, maybe not all, or maybe they're being a little bit more sophisticated with all, and not necessarily saying, well, it's got to be orchestrated by a particular organization. So, but I'm noticing people on Twitter, some people have been using some of these tactics, undermining public opinion. I've seen, it seems like that's been going on Twitter. Some of psychological warfare, um, not really harassment. Yeah, there's been a little bit of like via the legal system. There's been people threatening other people because, and it's not even nothing illegal, but some people are blowing up. I'm not gonna say any names right now unless somebody wants to run their mouth, then I'll say some names. But if the shoe fits, put them damn shoes on. All right, that's all I'm gonna say on that. But I think some of those tactics are being used because I've been in a lot of Twitter spaces for over 2 years and just listening, and I've noticed at least a couple of these 5 methods, the COINTELPRO methods, have been used, or people have been acting in that type of way on Twitter Spaces and elsewhere. All right, so that's that. All right, so we're gonna get back into the website here. All right, the National Reparations Convention. I read that what I just read about the COINTELPRO 5 methods to tie that into this website as well. All right. And to inform you, so you know when you get on Twitter or any place else, you kind of recognize, oh, they're using the undermining public opinion tactic, or they're using the psychological warfare tactic. All right. That's another reason why I put that there, or I read that. All right. So let's get into it. I said I was going to be too long, and let's try not to be too long. All right. So I'm going to read this thing down, what it says here. It says, we are Afro descendants. Are you? Working definition of Afro descendant, according to this website where you can register to attend the National Reparations Convention. Their working definition of Afro descendant is the term Afro descendant refers to this. Now, listen to this wording. Listen to the trick wording. Descendants of peoples who were forcibly dispossessed of their homeland, Africa, were transported to the Americas and slavery diaspora for the purpose of enslavement. All right. I'm gonna read that again because I got a question. All right, we got their working definition of what an Afro descendant is. They're referring to descendants of people who were forcibly dispossessed of their homeland, Africa. Dispossessed. Okay. Dispossessed means deprive someone of land, property of or other possessions. All right. Dispossess means deprive someone of land, property, or other possessions. So they're saying we're forcibly deprived of their land, property, or other possessions. Now, when I looked at that, when I'm sitting down there thinking about it right now, when I first read that before, I kind of thought it was meaning, oh, they took them from the they took them from Africa and brought them somewhere else. When you sit down and really think about this, that's real tricky because it can, in a sense, it doesn't really mean that they took somebody from Africa and brought them somewhere else. You can kind of look at the definition I just read as just depriving them of land. You can deprive somebody of land by not allowing them to get land and don't have to take them anywhere away from Africa. They could still be in Africa. You could just deprive them of land. You can deprive them of any property or any possession. But again, if you were to just read this and not really look up these words, you think, oh, that means, took them out from Africa and brought them to another place. All right. That's the trick game number one. Going to the next one. According to their term, Afro-descendant refers to descendants of people who were transported to the Americas, and slavery diaspora for the purpose of enslavement. All right. So it's saying they were transported from Africa to the Americas. Well, the Americas just isn't the United States, because you got South America and North America. So according to their definition, they're including those in South America. Okay. Real quick. Let me type this in. What are some countries in South America? Suriname, Guyana, Aruba, Ecuador, Paraguay, Panama, Bolivia, Venezuela, Uruguay, Chile, Colombia, Peru. You like my accent, huh? I'm a Black American, foundational Black American, but I got them skills like that. All right. Brazil, Argentina, Kingdom of the Netherlands. Those are South American countries. So they're including, as far as I'm concerned, right now, just those two I've read, they're already including people into reparations. And we're talking about being a foundational Black American that I am and others. We're talking about lineage-based reparations, where it's only the lineage of slaves in the U.S., not the South America, the United States of America, with the 50 states. So already you can kind of tell what this event is going to be about. They're already crowbarring everybody else into this reparations thing. Just those two that I read so far. But let's read some more. Oh, before we get into the third one, again, we're transported to the Americas with the S and slavery diaspora. So that can also mean Jamaica, because there were slaves there, and other places that have slaves. So they're trying to put everybody in. Notice that. For those who are watching, notice that. For those who are listening, you just got to listen in. All right. I hope I'm still on here. Yeah, there we go. All right. So you see the trick game already, what this convention is going to be sounding like. And then the people's names I read, you can kind of tell there too. All right, let's go to the third one. Were subjected to slavery. That's the open wide thing. You're not saying were subjected to American chattel slavery. You saying as a big old broad thing was subjected to slavery, right? You see the game there? All right, next one. Were subjected to forced mixed breeding and rape. All right. Was subjected to forced mixed breeding and rape. Okay. That kind of happened in different places as well. But it happened in the US. All right. We'll go to the next one. Have experienced through force the loss of mother tongue, culture, and religion. All of these seem like it's a broad thing because you could say there were people from Africa brought over to Brazil and they were forced to lose their mother tongue from Africa, their culture and religion. But this has happened in America. You know, the 50 states, that has happened to my ancestors, if you will, that were enslaved in the US, Virginia, the Carolinas, Georgia, Tennessee. All right. When they were brought here, they were forced and lost their language, which is mother tongue. I guess that's what that means. Their language, how to speak whatever tribe they came from or whatever part of Africa they came from. All right. The culture, it's been like 300 to 400 years. I don't know anything about no culture in there. That's why we say we are delineating, because my culture is different from an African person's culture, because we created our own culture once we got in America. For those who were forced here and those who, there were black people already here before slavery. So that's all my ancestors, a combination of both. All right. So their culture was taken, the religion they practiced was taken. But in this sense, what they're doing, they're still trying to put everybody as that. Because remember, in the beginning, up the top, it said the Americas with an S and the slavery diaspora. So that goes outside of the U.S. Right. The next one, and or have experienced. Now here's the trick game again. And or have experienced racial discrimination due to lost ties or partially lost ties from their original identity. One thing I notice about people, when you talk to them or when you read stuff on, if it's like a group and somebody just, a group of people decided how they're going to word the stuff together, instead of just being upfront, honest, and direct and to the point, they got to start using these words. Now, listen to this sentence. When they play this type of game right here, you already know something is up. Again, and or have experienced racial discrimination due to lost ties or partially lost ties from their original identity. Right? It's a play with words. Okay. And the last one, Afro descendants are experiencing ethnogenesis, the reestablishment of the mind or the resurrection of a people who have lost the identity of self due to 400 years of slavery. So what they're doing here, that 400 years of slavery, Black Americans been saying that for the longest. You don't really haven't heard others really say that. So it's like they're trying to play, for those who don't know any better, and not to say that doesn't mean anybody's dumb. You just have a heart of thinking. You have a certain way of thinking. Oh, I'm thinking that it's going to be about this, and so You just going along with it because it sounds black. It sounds foundational black American to you. When you see certain words, you go, oh, they're talking about us, the foundational black Americans in the US, the 50 states. But if you pay attention to the wording and you start breaking down words and the sentences, you really see that they're trying to include everybody into something that a lot of people don't have a claim to. They're changing the wording. They're definitely not mentioning anything about lineage based, which being the lineage of the black American slaves that were in the 50 states. They don't mention that. They don't mention cash payments and so on and so forth. All right. So we're going to go into the next thing it says here, just so you guys can see that. All right. And then we'll get out of here. So it says National Reparations Convention, October 7th and October the 8th. All right. So it says National Reparations Convention 2023 is a coalition of grassroots organizations, scholars, legislators, leaders, and activists in the reparations movement. All right. Notice the wording. Grassroots organizations. The question is, what is that? What is considered a grassroots organization? All right. Scholars, legislators, leaders, and activists in the reparations movement. All right. It states our focus is to develop a comprehensive, unified demand for reparations. Currently, there are numerous organizations advocating for reparations on the local, national, and international levels that would benefit from coming together. All right. And then they have their primary goals. Primary goal or goals, excuse me, is to organize. We'll get back to this first paragraph in a second. Organize the organizations throughout, and here's the wording again, organize the organizations throughout the Americas and slavery diaspora. They're using that word again, into one unified national reparations movement. Just like I stated, what they're doing is trying to say all these black folks from Africa, whether they living in Africa now, they living in South America, they in Jamaica, they're in the UK, so on and so forth. Any place that had slavery going on, or I won't even go into that. I'm not going to add the or, because if it doesn't show that, I'm going to leave that out because I'm not going to give any ideas. All right. But it says organize their primary goals, organize the organizations throughout the Americas. Again, we have a North America and South America. So you want to organize these organizations throughout both the Americas and slavery diaspora into one unified national reparations movement. So you want to include people who had nothing to do with being in the United States, the 50 states, the Virginias, the North Carolinas, the South Carolinas, the Georgias, the Tennessees, the Mississippis, the Floridas, the so on and so forth. You're not just saying them, you're saying everywhere. And some of these folks had no connection with us at all back then and now. But you want to do a movement where they can get some money, they can get some benefits, but they didn't put, their ancestors didn't put in no work. And even now, there's black immigrants that come here now or been here, and they're not standing up for any black issues, black American issues, things that's going on now affecting us now. But you're saying that you want to put all them all in one little lump, one little box, So we can all benefit. They can all benefit from it, right? All right. Establish a foundation upon which we can proceed together with one voice in our efforts towards self-determination, reparations, restoration, reconciliation, repatriation, and repair. I'm gonna let y'all just marinate on that. I'm gonna read it again real quick. Establish a foundation upon which we can proceed together with one voice in our efforts towards self-determination, reparations. Ooh, they put in the word reparations so it can grab your attention. Restoration, reconciliation, repatriation, and repair. Another part of their goals is protection and promotion of our most basic human rights, which were severed as a result of plantation slavery, loss of our original identity, language, culture, and religion. But we have our own culture now as foundational Black Americans, and we're cool with our culture. We don't want to go back to if we have any ties to Africa at all. Some of us do, some of us don't. We don't want to have the culture of them because they don't want it. They don't want to have nothing to do with us, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. That's no hate towards them. No need to beat them up or nothing like that, physically or mentally. We created a culture. We have a very intelligent people. That's like Dr. Claude Anderson said. We are very unique and great people. I'll put it like that, because we was able to be over here and might have had one culture, and then due to slavery, they beat it out of us one way or the other, or use other tactics. And we still came back and created something else, created a new culture of food, a way we talk. For those who don't even know, Black Americans used to speak a language called Tutanese, Tut language. A lot of people don't know that. I don't know if they teach that in school. T-U-T. We had a language called Tut. So we created our own language, what they don't teach you in the schools. Africans don't know it. Jamaicans don't know it. A lot of people over all these Black Caribbean countries and African countries don't know that. We were so bad, meaning good. We were so great that we came over here, or we was over here already, and got the culture beat out of us. We said, we got to get, okay, we're going to create a new culture. We're going to develop our own style of music, our own style of talk, our own language, the way we dress, the food we create. We're going to create all these genres of music, and still was able to do all of that. That's the mind of the foundational Black American. All right. So, but what they wanted to do is protection and promotion of our most basic human rights, which were severed as a result of plantation slavery, loss of our original identity, language, and culture and religion. So they want to protect and promote that. All right, the next one, advance recognition of our self-chosen name, Afro descendants, as our nationality, and join onto the Afro descendant nation. Reparations can be paid from one nation to another. All right. And lastly, Afro descendants to become recognized as a sovereign state in the UN General Assembly. All right. So, with that being said, let me go to this one real quick. I want to just let me show this real quick, and then I'm gonna bounce up out of here. All right. One more thing. Oh, I got some comments here. Appreciate y'all. I'm gonna put your comments up in a sec before we get out of here. Matter of fact, let's go into the comments real quick. Let me see what y'all talking about. All right, there's some knucklehead. Okay. Uh, okay. We won't even go to the comments. There's some trolls making troll comments, apparently. Nothing of substance at all. So let's get into, let me see, what is this here? All right, let's get out of that. Let's pull one more thing up real quick. This is like me presenting a case. All right. This is my case file right quick to show you what I think is really going to be going on. But nonetheless, they're going to get that work too. All right. Let's pull it in. Boom. So they have it on their Facebook page there. All right. And the about 186 people responded so far on their Facebook page. Event by National Reparations Convention, Georgia State University, 33 Gilmer Street. So you have one website saying 55 Gilmer, and then you have this here saying 33 Gilmer. All right. So far, so much for that. And then let's hit on the discussion real quick, because I think I accidentally hit on that and found this. Woo! And it made me further think, you know what? This reparations convention is not about what foundational Black Americans is looking at this reparations movement to be. It's an all encompassing or encompassing, however word you want to use, all encompassing, all inclusive, I guess would be a better choice of word for me to say, is an all inclusive, everybody gets something. Even if your family members, your ancestors had nothing to do with the fight in America, the building of America, the free labor that they gave America. All right. My ancestors and some of your ancestors built America for free. And then on top of that, we started fighting the government saying, hey, you need to let these other Black people from these other countries come over here, thinking that they were coming over here and we were all going to stand together. But when they got here, they didn't stand together. They started undermining foundational Black Americans. And even to this day, it's happening. There's some people in government right now that are not Black Americans, and they're looking out for other Black people from other places. On top of that, you have the president and his administration looking out for Hispanics. And I'm not going to get too deep into that because I'm going to go into that on another either news story or podcast broadcast to really break that down, because there's some other things that need to be said about that'll really grab people's mind then. So I'm gonna hold on to that one. I'm gonna hold that card under the table right now so you can't see it. All right, but look at this. National Reparations Convention. They got Garvey and they have Elijah Muhammad. Elijah Muhammad, y'all don't know, is a Black American. He's a foundational Black American, for those who don't know. 50 national reparations groups and leaders confirmed. All reparations advocates welcome. All right, that's cool. All reparations advocates. Well, you know there's going to be splintered mindsets on what this is supposed to be about. So, yeah, get prepared to get that work. And, some people might be coming there to film it and show it to others. So, get ready. All right. On this day, August 31st, 2023, United Nations International Day of People of African Descent, we would like to announce our re-engagement in the United Nations. We cannot properly pursue re-engagement of the United Nations without honoring those that have made significant contributions toward Afro-descendant recognition, justice, and development in the United Nations. On the AFRE website, we provide a brief history of the non-governmental organization. All right. And Cheryl Griff, I think that's one of the ladies that's going to be there. And then again, they're showing the other people, keynote speakers, so on and so forth. Malik Shabazz, Justin Hansford, Silas Muhammad, so on and so forth. But what I wanted to show you was this picture here. When I seen that, because you see the red, black, and green, the color in the background, that was another clue to me that said, oh, you're not really about Black American reparations. You're about everybody across the globe, Black reparations. And some of them people across the globe had nothing to do with making America what it was or what it is now or what it has been. Even at one time, again, I talked about Trump before. Not that I'm caping for him, and I ain't like rocking with him like that, but he said some stuff. And all I can say is, one of the things I'm going to say is, clever recognizes clever. All right. I recognize the cleverness in what he does. A lot of people say dumb and this and that because they don't recognize, they're not clever recognizing clever. He was the only president that I can recall, Trump, that actually stated that Black Americans built the nation. Obama didn't say it. Biden didn't say it. Jimmy Carter didn't say it. Reagan didn't say it. None of the presidents before said that. Only one. All right. Not that I'm capable for him, but I just recognize clever. He didn't tell a lie. I just recognize clever. That's all. All right. Clever recognizes clever. Okay. And I'm gonna just leave it at that. You can figure out what I'm saying. So just looking at that picture made me say, oh yeah, I know what they're about. I know what this whole convention is going to be about. But they're going to get pushback because there's going to be people that's going to disagree with what they saying reparations should be. All right. I'm just going to leave it at that. And so that's it, man. I told you I wasn't going to be long this time. I'm coming close to an hour. I was hoping to be a little less than that, but it's all good. It's all good. It's all to the good. That's all. That's one of the things I do. I started looking at things like, oh, people need to know about this. I like to break stuff down because sometimes people miss it. And I don't want people to miss things. I don't want people to get tricked like that. All right? I don't need to be getting tricked. They need to know what's going on. All right? So, yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Put it in the comments. If you agree, you disagree, it's all to the good. Shout out to y'all who are going to be listening to me on Twitter Spaces. I'm on Twitter Spaces Live now, or X. I call it Twitter X. Because Elon Musk thought he was Malcolm X and said he was going to turn it into X. So he tried to be Twitter X. All right. There's some other reasons behind why he called it X. But, Anyway, I appreciate y'all, man. Let me see. Got a comment in. Let me see if it's some more trolling. Well, you had one. You guys too. Okay, Papa John. I'll put this in. All right, thank you for the thumbs up. The rest of your comments is troll comments to me. But it's all good. That happens when you start putting out some real information and you have intentions on keeping people knowledged up and informed. You're going to have people that's going to try to. Didn't I just read? Hold on. See what I'm saying? Perfect example before we get out of here. I posted the 5 methods the FBI used the COINTELPRO, and this person who put this comment out made the point. See that? Although that's the only comment I'm posting, you put good. Okay, cool. But the rest of this stuff is not bad or offensive, but it's childish and goofy. It's almost like a little kid is putting this up, but you put a good, and you put your emoji picture like some cartoon characters. You might be an adult doing that, but I do that, put that up. Now I'm going to make the point of this right here. See what I'm saying? It might be beneficial to get that book called War at Home, just to go over the 5 main methods of COINTELPRO that the FBI used. All right. So this person putting up these comments, which one of these 5 are they using? Are they using infiltration? Are they using the psychological warfare? Are they using harassment via the legal system? I don't think they're doing that. They might be trying to employ a little bit of the psychological, a little bit, really on a kid level. Not a legal force. They're not threatening or conducting any legal break-ins. Undermining public opinion. They might be using that. So between psychological warfare and undermine public opinion, that might say that person might be trying to employ that tactic, those 2 tactics. But it's good that you know these things. Know those five things, all right? Okay. Right, so see what I'm saying? Point made. So pay attention to those tactics, when you watch news and stuff like that on TV, on the mainstream media. If you're watching videos on certain subjects, pay attention to those 5 things and to see if you can point out which one of those methods they're trying to use. All right. There you go, man. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for coming in. Another one in the books. You heard me? And so with that being said, you're rocking with the best thoughts of the week. Again, the question is, are you going to the National Reparations Convention in Atlanta, Georgia? Will you be attending? Even though I broke down what I think they're really going to be about, are you still going to go? It might be still worth going to, because you can always learn something everywhere you go and from everyone. All right. So keep that mindset in mind. All right. I keep it in mind. I try to practice learning from everyone and learning from everywhere. Everywhere I go, everywhere I'm at, watching people, studying folks, studying Black people, studying white people, studying Asian people, studying African people. All right. Listening to people talk. You can learn from everyone and everywhere. All right. All right. Well, I'm out of here, man. I appreciate y'all. Y'all know what it is. This is Thoughts of the Week podcast. You're rocking with the best thoughts of the week. I'm out. Peace. You're rocking with the best thoughts of the week podcast.
Sorry.